Allo, allo, it's Nia. Welcome to AI Creator World Podcast, the place where creators learn how to grow faster, build smarter, and turn artificial intelligence into real opportunity. Here, we explore powerful AI tools, content strategies, personal branding systems, and new ways to create income in the digital era. If you are building something online, you are in the right place. Let's begin.
So imagine this scenario. You're starting a business, right?
Okay, sounds good.
Let's say it's a boutique artisanal coffee shop.
Oh, nice. I love those.
Right, totally. You've got the perfect beans, the ideal location. You even have a brilliant name. We'll call it the Copper Bean.
The copper bean. Yeah, that's catchy. I like it.
Thanks. But here's the problem. You need a logo.
Right.
You need brand colors. You definitely need a social media presence, to get people in the door.
Yeah, you absolutely have to have that stuff.
And in the not-so-distant past, literally just back in 2021, you basically only had two choices.
Yeah, and neither of them were great for a beginner.
Exactly. Option A was you pay a professional design agency $10,000.
Which is crazy money for a startup.
Total madness. And then you wait 3 weeks, sit through endless revision meetings, and just kind of hope they capture the picture you have in your head.
Right, and then there's option B.
Right. Option B, the DIY route. You decide to do it yourself.
Nope.
Yeah. You spend hundreds of dollars a month on professional design software. You open it up and boom.
You immediately slam into a brick wall.
A literal brick wall of technical jargon. You're suddenly expected to understand, the mathematics of Bezier curves.
Oh, Bezier curves are a nightmare.
The optical illusions of kerning, the hexadecimal recipes of color stops. It was just a totally walled garden.
Yeah, and the gatekeepers were the software interfaces themselves. Honestly, it was just too much.
Exactly. But today, right now in 2026.
It's a completely different world.
It totally is. That exact same process takes a $20 subscription and maybe 10 minutes of your time.
Yeah, and a single descriptive sentence typed into a chat box.
It's wild. Which brings us to the core mission of our deep dive today.
I'm really excited for this one.
Me too. We're examining this fascinating, incredibly comprehensive article published by the AI Creator World team.
Right, published in March of 2026.
Yeah, it's titled 11 Best AI Design Tools for Beginners in 2026. But I want to be clear to you listening right now.
Yeah, this isn't just a list.
No, not at all. We aren't just going to sit here and read you a table of contents.
That would be super boring.
Right. We're going to explore how these tools are fundamentally changing what it means to be creative.
Exactly. Because there's a massive shift.
So whether you are a total beginner trying to launch a side hustle or, a seasoned marketer looking to streamline your workflow, we're going to give you the shortcut to understanding this whole new landscape.
It's going to save people so much time.
Totally. Okay, let's unpack this. It's like we've suddenly been handed the keys to a world-class, multi-million-dollar professional design studio.
Oh, I love that analogy.
And the studio comes fully staffed with, the greatest painters, illustrators, and layout artists in human history.
Just waiting for instructions.
Right. And the wildest part? We don't even need to know how to mix the paint.
No, we don't. We don't have to know how to stretch the canvas either.
We literally just have to know how to talk to the artists.
What's fascinating here is how that analogy really is the perfect lens through which to view this whole article.
Because it's not just a software update.
Exactly. We're not merely discussing incremental software updates here. We aren't talking about, a slightly faster lasso tool.
Or a new drop shadow effect.
Right. We are witnessing a fundamental philosophical shift in the actual mechanics of visual creation.
It's huge.
We're moving away from this era of manual, labor-intensive execution, and we're stepping fully into an era of creative direction.
Okay, I really want to dig into that shift because before we even name a single one of the 11 tools from the source text, we kind of have to understand the new rules of the game.
Yeah, the foundation is really important here.
So let's go back to our coffee shop, the Copper Bean.
Right, the artisanal spot.
Yeah. In the old days, which honestly feels like the Stone Age, but was literally just a few years ago, if I wanted to draw a copper-colored coffee bean for my logo, I had to physically construct the vector lines.
Which is so tedious.
So tedious. And for those of you who have mercifully avoided art school, let me just explain what that actually means.
Please do.
I couldn't just draw a bean with a pencil. I had to use a pen tool to place anchor points on a grid.
Oh, the dreaded pen tool.
Yeah. And then I had to pull out these little mathematical levers attached to those points to calculate the exact smooth slope of a Bezier curve.
Which is basically just a mathematical formula.
Right. It tells the computer how to bend a line. And if you pulled the lever like a millimeter too far to the left.
Your beautiful coffee bean suddenly looks like a deflated football.
Exactly. It's ruined. You have
Yeah.
to manually drag layers around, adjust opacity sliders until your eyes basically cross.
Just fighting the software for every single pixel.
Fighting it the whole way.
Which is precisely why 99% of beginners would simply quit.
Totally. It's just too frustrating.
The source text points out something really profound that has plagued visual arts since basically the dawn of time.
What's that?
The execution gap.
Oh, the execution gap. That's a great term.
Yeah. For a beginner, the single most insurmountable obstacle is this massive chasm between what they can vividly imagine in their mind's eye and what they can actually execute with their hands on a keyboard.
Right, because I can close my eyes and picture a sleek, minimalist logo for the copper bean.
You can see the warm metallic tones, right?
Oh, absolutely. I can see the elegant, thin typography. It looks amazing in my head.
But when you try to actually manipulate the Bezier curves to draw
It looks like a wobbly, amateurish blob. It's awful.
Exactly. That execution gap is where creative dreams go to die. The friction of the tool just destroys the momentum of the idea.
It really is the visual equivalent of having like a beautiful symphony playing in your head. But when you sit down at the piano, you only know how to play chopsticks.
That is perfectly said, yes.
So how exactly are the tools of 2026 bridging that gap? Because from what I'm reading in the source, they aren't just giving us a better piano.
No, they aren't bridging the gap at all.
Wait, what do you mean?
They are removing your need to cross it entirely. Yet these AI design tools completely invert the traditional model of creation. Instead of you acting as the laborer, building a design element by element, curve by curve, you just use natural language.
We just type.
Right.
Yeah.
You might write something like a logo for a modern minimalist coffee shop named the Copper Bean. The central image is a geometric coffee bean made of brushed copper.
Set against a matte charcoal background, maybe.
Exactly. The typography should be elegant and thin. You just describe it.
And then what does the AI do?
The AI neural networks take that semantic instruction, cross-reference it against billions of parameters of human design history, and generate a polished professional starting point in seconds.
So it's mathematically perfect right out of the gate.
Yes. The machine handles the execution. You just provide the creative direction.
Okay, I have to stop you there and push back a little bit
Yes.
because my alarm bells are kind of ringing. If the AI is doing all the actual heavy lifting...
Calculating in the centering, yeah.
Right. If the machine is choosing the exact mathematical color hex codes and doing the Bezier curves, aren't we losing the soul of the craft?
Huh?
I mean, aren't we just becoming detached design managers instead of actual designers? It kind of feels like we're claiming to be chefs just because we know how to order really well at a restaurant.
You know, it's so interesting you say that. Every time a new technology abstracts a layer of labor, we worry about losing the soul of the craft.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like when photography was invented, portrait painters said the exact same thing.
That pushing a button required no skill.
Exactly. They said it lacked soul. But what actually happened? Photography became its own incredibly nuanced art form.
Right, focused on lighting and composition.
And timing, rather than just mixing pigments. The definition of the craft simply evolved. Today, managing the AI is the new form of design.
So I'm not losing the craft.
No, you're not losing the craft, you're being promoted.
Promoted. From what to what, exactly?
From the junior production assistant to the art director.
Oh, the art director. I like the sound of that.
Think about how a high-end advertising agency works, right? The art director doesn't necessarily sit at a desk painstakingly drawing the little serifs on a font.
No, they have a whole team for that.
Exactly. They have a cohesive vision. They understand the psychology of the target audience.
And they communicate that vision to the team.
Right, to specialized illustrators, typographers, layout artists. They review the output, provide feedback, and refine it.
Until it perfectly matches the goal.
Yes. In 2026, the AI is simply your team of specialists. The source text makes this explicitly clear.
That a beginner can bypass all those hours of Photoshop tutorials?
Completely bypass them. You can produce something commercially viable in your very first hour, You are directing the machine's technical capability using your human taste.
I see. So the value isn't in knowing how to draw the line.
No.
The value is in knowing where the line should go.
Precisely.
Okay, so if I'm this newly appointed art director of my own startup and I need to hire my team of specialists, meaning I need to choose an AI tool from this list of 11, what am I actually looking for?
That's the million-dollar question.
The source article outlines some very specific hallmarks that define a beginner-friendly tool right now, and the first one really resonates with my soul.
The eradication of the blank canvas.
Yes. The complete and total eradication of the blank canvas.
The blank canvas is objectively the enemy of the beginner.
It really is. It induces immediate decision paralysis. I just stare at it and panic.
Exactly. The article stresses that a well-designed beginner AI tool today completely abandons that open sandbox approach.
So what do they do instead?
They rely on guided workflows. Simple, intuitive drag-and-drop interfaces. It should feel as familiar as organizing apps on your phone.
Got it.
But the absolute most critical hallmark, according to the source, is a heavy reliance on intelligent templates.
Now, wait a minute. Templates.
Yes, template.
Templates used to be like a very dirty word in the design community.
Oh, they definitely were.
I mean, using a template meant you were cheating. It meant your work was unoriginal, cheap, and easily identifiable as stock material.
And 5 years ago, that stigma was entirely justified. It really was.
Right.
But we need to look at modern template through a totally new lens now. The psychological relief provided by a template cannot be overstated for a beginner.
Because it makes the first move for you.
Exactly. When you start a blank project, you are immediately crushed by this huge mountain of invisible, highly technical decisions.
Invisible decisions. Give me an example of an invisible decision.
Sure. Think about aspect ratios and spatial logic.
Okay.
Like, what size should the digital canvas be if you are designing an Instagram story versus, say, a LinkedIn header?
I have no idea. I'd have to Google it.
Right. And what about visual hierarchy? How do you ensure the viewer's eye goes to the headline before the call to action button?
That's a good point.
And then there's font pairing.
Ah, font pairing. The dark art.
It really is.
For you listening at home, font pairing is trying to figure out why a big, aggressive, blocky headline font looks absolutely terrible when paired with a flowery, cursive secondary font.
It never works.
It's like wearing combat boots with a tuxedo.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And what about color contrast?
Right, like making sure people can actually read it.
Do the colors you picked contrast well enough to be readable by someone who is colorblind?
Wow, I wouldn't have even thought of that.
A well-designed template has already solved every single one of those mathematical and psychological problems for you. The spacing is proportional.
The fonts are already chosen based on complementary shapes.
Yes. The colors are locked into an accessible contrast ratio.
Okay, so it's like going bowling, but the alley owner has permanently locked the bumper rails up.
Yes, exactly.
You are mathematically guaranteed to knock down at least a few pins. You cannot roll a gutter ball.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it. But the source text actually pushes this concept even further.
Oh, really? How so?
It suggests that these AI-infused templates are more than just shortcuts. They're actually active learning environments.
Learning environments. That's interesting.
Yeah. By starting with a professionally structured layout and then iteratively tweaking it, beginners are learning the fundamental principles of design through sheer osmosis.
Oh, I see.
You start to intuitively understand why a heavy sans serif was paired with a delicate serif font simply because you are interacting with it daily.
You're training your eye without even realizing it.
Exactly. Add to that the fact that these beginner tools now universally cost under $20 a month.
With really generous free tiers, usually.
Yeah, often completely watermark-free on the free tiers. The financial barrier that used to keep the walled garden locked is just completely gone.
I hear that, and it sounds amazing. But let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
Let's look at the macro scale here. If there are tens of millions of beginners out there,
Which there are.
and they are all logging into the same handful of platforms and starting from the exact same library of templates,
I see where you're going with this.
doesn't all beginner design run the risk of becoming this huge ocean of sameness? Doesn't it all start to look exactly the same?
The cookie cutter effect.
Yeah. It's like everyone in the world buying the exact same Billy bookcase from IKEA.
Yeah.
You walk into a stranger's house, look at their living room, and you instantly know, ah, yes, aisle 14, $49.
That is a highly valid concern. And honestly, it's the exact trap that early template sites fell into a few years ago.
Everything looked so generic.
It was a genuine plague on the internet. However, The 2026 tools detailed in the article solve this homogeny by deeply integrating generative AI directly into the template workflow.
Okay, so you're no longer just taking a template and swapping out the text.
Right.
So what are you doing instead?
You take the invisible, sturdy structural frame of the template, the good spacing, the readable fonts, and then you use the integrated AI to generate a completely bespoke, 100% unique asset to fill it.
Oh, wow.
You ask the AI to generate a background image of, like, a copper coffee bean sitting on wet cobblestones in the rain.
Something totally specific to my brand.
Exactly. An image that has never existed in the history of the universe and will never exist again.
Right.
You use the AI to instantly analyze a photo you took on your phone, and then it automatically recolors the entire template to match the exact lighting and mood of your photo.
That's incredible.
So to borrow your analogy, you're taking the structurally sound frame of the IKEA bookcase,
Yeah.
but you're using AI to instantly carve the wood out of custom enchanted mahogany.
Enchanted mahogany. I absolutely love it.
It fits perfectly.
It really does. So let's actually walk the aisles of these superstores where you can buy this enchanted furniture.
Let's do it.
The article breaks down the 2026 landscape into distinct categories, and we kind of have to start with the heavyweights.
The all-in-ones.
The all-in-ones. The two massive titans dominating this space right now are Canva AI and Designs.ai.
Yeah, these platforms operate on a very specific philosophy. They want to be the only tab you ever need to have open in your browser.
Which is very convenient.
It is. Canva, as the source unequivocally notes, is the most widely used AI design tool for beginners globally.
And looking at their feature set, it's really easy to see why they maintain that dominance.
They didn't just bolt AI onto their software as a cheap gimmick.
No, they took their massive existing template ecosystem and basically injected machine learning into the very DNA of the product.
Take their feature called Magic Design, for instance.
Oh, Magic Design is wild. I've actually played with this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In the past, you'd search a template library for, like, coffee shop flyer.
And you'd scroll through hundreds of static options.
Exactly, just scrolling forever. But with Magic Design, you bypass the search entirely. You literally just type a text prompt describing what you want.
Right, you just ask for it.
I can type, I need a promotional flyer for a weekend half-price sale at the Copper Bean featuring a warm, inviting aesthetic.
And then what happens?
The AI generates a completely custom, multi-page layout based specifically on that text. It pulls in relevant imagery and even generates copy that actually makes sense.
It basically acts as an instant first draft.
It's amazing.
But then there's Magic Edit, which transforms complex photo manipulation into a conversational exercise.
Right. So, say I have a great photo of a table at my coffee shop, but someone left, like a crumpled up napkin in the corner of the frame.
Which ruins the whole shot.
It really does.
Yeah.
Historically, I would have had to learn how to use a clone stamp tool.
Oh, man. The clone stamp.
For you listening, a clone stamp tool means you tell the software to copy a patch of wood grain from the left side of the table.
And then you painstakingly paint that wood grain over the napkin on the right side.
Trying to match the lighting and the angle perfectly, it takes forever, and usually it just looks like a blurry smudge anyway.
It really does.
But with Magic Edit, you literally just highlight the napkin, type remove napkin, and it's gone.
Boop.
Or better yet, type replace napkin with a freshly baked croissant.
And it doesn't just paste a flat 2D sticker of a croissant.
No. It generates a croissant that physically belongs in that exact space. It casts the correct shadows based on the ambient light in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It understands the actual 3D context of the image.
It's unbelievable.
The article also highlights Canva's one-click background removal and its auto-resizing capabilities.
Okay, auto-resizing.
Now, auto-resizing might sound like a mundane administrative feature to some people.
But anyone who has ever managed a brand's social media knows it is an absolute lifesaver.
It is the bane of a marketer's existence.
It truly is.
Think about the relentless spatial demands of modern content creation. You don't just design an image anymore.
Right, you need it everywhere.
If you want to announce your coffee shop's grand opening, you need a perfectly square post for the main Instagram feed.
Right. And then you need a tall, vertical 9.16 ratio version for TikTok, Stories, or Reels.
Exactly. And you need a wide, panoramic, horizontal version for a website banner or a Facebook cover photo.
Doing that manually means painstakingly duplicating your file and rearranging the text, the logo, and the image 3 separate times.
just so nothing gets awkwardly cropped out.
It's exhausting.
But Canva's AI auto resize understands the focal point of your design.
Yeah.
It automatically adapts a single source file to every required format.
Intelligently shifting everything around.
Yes, scaling the visual elements to fit the new aspect ratios perfectly. It compresses hours of tedious manual labor into literally a single click.
It just gives you your time back.
Exactly.
And then the source text brings up the other heavyweight, designs.ai.
Right.
This platform takes the all-in-one concept and pushes it even further, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just static graphics with them. Designs.ai attempts to cover logo creation, full video creation, social graphics, and product mockups.
All under one single subscription roof?
Yeah. They have a proprietary logo maker, graphic maker, and video maker, all completely driven by AI prompts.
Right. And what makes designs.ai particularly powerful for absolute beginners is that it includes AI-driven color matching and font pairing tools integrated directly into the workflow.
The overarching goal of this platform is to help a beginner build a cohesive, consistent visual identity from absolute scratch.
Without ever needing to bounce between 5 different websites.
Exactly. You make the logo, and the AI automatically knows which fonts and colors to apply to your promotional video.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay.
Because as I look at these massive all-in-one platforms like Canva and designs.ai, they remind me of one very specific thing.
What's up?
A massive, luxurious buffet in Las Vegas.
Okay, I'm listening.
Like, yes, it is an absolute modern marvel that I can walk into a single room and get a slice of prime rib, a plate of sushi, and a Belgian waffle all on the exact same plate.
The sheer convenience is totally unmatched.
It is. But here's my question. Can a Vegas buffet, no matter how good, ever serve a meal that is as exceptional as a specialized chef who has spent 20 straight years mastering only sushi? Do these all-in-one platforms inherently sacrifice top-tier specialized quality for the sake of mass convenience?
That is the exact trade-off, perfectly articulated.
So they do sacrifice a little bit.
For general day-to-day graphics, the daily social media posts reminding people you're open, the quick flyers, the internal presentation decks, the buffets are totally unmatched.
They provide exactly what a beginner needs 90% of the time.
Right. However, there will inevitably come a moment when a beginner's vision demands a truly unique, breathtaking, high-fidelity visual asset.
Like a hero image for the website.
Exactly. Say you need a stunning, cinematic piece of concept art for a novel cover, or a hyper-realistic product rendering of your coffee beans that looks like it was shot in a studio with $50,000 worth of lighting equipment.
Right.
If you ask the Buffet AI for that, it will return something that feels a bit generic, a bit flat.
It won't have that wow factor.
No, when you need that Michelin star quality, you cannot go to the buffet. You have to turn to the specialized chefs.
And in the landscape of AI design in 2026, those specialized chefs are the dedicated text-to-image generators.
Precisely.
Okay, let's step out of the buffet and walk into the specialized kitchen.
Sounds good.
The source text dedicates a massive section to deep diving into 4 major standalone text-to-image AI generators.
DALL-E, Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, and Leonardo AI.
Yeah. And as I read through the descriptions, what really stands out to me is how wildly different the vibe, the user experience, and the underlying purpose of each one is.
They all have very different personalities.
Totally. Let's start with the most famous name on the list, DALL.
DALL-E, which is developed by OpenAI, is explicitly highlighted by the source text as the absolute easiest, most frictionless entry point for beginners.
And the reason for this comes down to how it communicates, right?
Yes. It is entirely conversational. You don't need to learn a rigid pseudo-programming language filled with hyphens and brackets to get it to work.
Thank goodness.
You interact with it exactly like you would a human colleague over a messaging app.
Right. I don't have to speak computer. I can just use plain English.
Exactly.
I can literally say, hey, can you make me a highly detailed image of a golden retriever wearing reading glasses, sitting in a leather chair, reading a morning newspaper, but make it look exactly like an oil painting from the 1800s.
And it will generate it, just like that.
And if the dog looks a little too cartoonish, I don't have to start over. I just reply to the AI, make the painting style more realistic, and change the newspaper to a tablet.
It remembers the context of our conversation.
Yeah.
And it just iterates. It lowers the technical barrier of entry to basically zero.
It really is the ultimate brainstorming partner.
It is.
But then the article contrasts that perfectly frictionless experience with Midjourney, and the source explicitly states that Midjourney comes with a slight learning curve.
Yes, it definitely does.
And that is primarily because it doesn't have a traditional standalone website where you just type in a box. It operates entirely through an app called Discord.
Right.
Let's explain that for the listener, because it's kind of a weird quirk of tech history.
It is very weird.
Discord is a chat application that was originally built almost exclusively for gamers to talk to each other while playing multiplayer video games.
It's essentially just a series of chat rooms.
Yeah. And to use Midjourney, you have to join their specific chat room server, go into a text channel where hundreds of other people are also generating images at the exact same time.
It moves very fast.
Super fast. You have to type a specific /command/imagine and then type your prompt. It feels incredibly clunky.
It does.
It feels like you're hacking the mainframe in a 90s movie.
That's a great way to describe it.
If delete is as easy as sending a text message to a friend, why on earth would a beginner ever subject themselves to the chaotic learning curve of a gamer chat room just to use Midjourney?
You subject yourself to the clunky interface for one singular reason.
Which is?
The aesthetic ceiling.
Ah.
The source text is unambiguous about this. Midjourney produces some of the most visually stunning, breathtakingly artistic AI-generated images on the planet.
Better than DALL-E.
Without a doubt. To understand why, you have to understand a little bit about how these image generators work. They use something called a diffusion model.
Okay, ELI 5 time. Explain a diffusion model like I'm 5 years old.
Okay, imagine a television screen displaying nothing but random, buzzing black and white static.
Like an old broken TV.
Exactly. Pure noise. A diffusion model has been trained by looking at billions of human images, slowly destroying them into static, and then learning how to reverse the process.
So it learns how to undestroy them.
Yes. So when you type a coffee cup, the AI doesn't go find a picture of a coffee cup and paste it.
Okay.
It starts with a canvas of pure static noise, and step by step, it intelligently removes the noise until a coffee cup emerges.
It basically hallucinates the image into existence based on its training data.
Exactly.
That is simultaneously beautiful and slightly terrifying.
It is. And Midjourney's specific diffusion model has been tuned to heavily favor intense artistic aesthetics.
So it defaults to looking beautiful.
Yes. The lighting, the microtextures of skin or fabric, the dramatic compositions, the sheer artistry of what Midjourney outputs is truly unparalleled.
Wow.
It excels at complex illustration styles, dark fantasy, and hyper-realistic photography that you can simply never find in a standard stock photo library.
So to answer my question,
You endure the slightly chaotic Discord interface because the reward is a visual asset that looks like it was painted by a master concept artist.
who would have charged you $10,000 and taken a month to deliver?
Precisely.
Okay, I get it. DALL-E is the friendly conversational assistant. Midjourney is the eccentric, brilliant genius who makes you visit them in a weird, crowded chat room to get their masterpiece.
That is a perfect summary.
What about Adobe Firefly? Where does that fit in?
Adobe Firefly solves a completely different but arguably much more practical problem for beginners starting a business.
Which is?
Anxiety. Specifically, legal and commercial anxiety.
Oh, yes. The copyright issue. This is huge.
It is the elephant in the room with AI. Many early image generators were trained by indiscriminately scraping the internet.
Just grabbing everything.
Right, leading to concerns that they might inadvertently reproduce copyrighted material or recognizable watermarks.
If you are a beginner launching a real LLC-registered business like the Copper Bean, the last thing you want is a cease and desist letter from a photographer.
Exactly, because your AI-generated logo looks a little too much like their protected work.
Right. So how does Firefly fix that?
Firefly was trained exclusively on Adobe stock images, openly licensed content, and public domain material where the copyright has expired.
Meaning the images it generates are fundamentally, legally, commercially safe.
Yes, you can put them on a billboard or a coffee cup and sleep soundly at night.
That is a massive relief.
It removes the legal anxiety entirely. But practically speaking, the source highlights its most powerful feature for everyday users: generative fill.
We talked about this a bit with Canva's Magic Edit, but Adobe's generative fill is, like, on another level, right?
It really is.
Let's paint a picture for the listener. Say you take a great photo of yourself standing in front of your coffee shop. The lighting is great, your smile is great, But right behind you, on the brick wall, there's a massive, ugly electrical meter box.
Just ruining the photo.
Totally ruining it. In the old Photoshop, removing that box meant an hour of painstaking digital cloning, and it usually left a blurry, obvious smudge on the bricks.
It never looked quite right.
With generative fill, you literally just take a digital lasso, draw a sloppy circle around the electrical box, and hit generate without even typing a word.
And the AI analyzes the complex pattern of the bricks.
Yes, the angle of the sun, the shadows, and it completely invents new bricks to seamlessly cover the box.
It's not blurring it. It is creating new reality.
It is pure magic.
It fundamentally changes what it means to take a bad photo.
It really does. And finally, rounding out the text-to-image category, the article mentions Leonardo AI.
Yes, Leonardo.
Leonardo solves perhaps the single most frustrating problem for anyone trying to build a brand using AI consistency.
Oh, this is the worst problem.
It really is. You go into an AI, you type cute cartoon coffee bean mascot wearing a barista apron, and it gives you an amazing character.
You love him.
You love him, you name him Barnaby. But then you want a picture of Barnaby waving hello.
So you type it in again?
You type cute cartoon coffee bean mascot wearing a barista apron waving hello, and the AI spits out a totally different looking bean.
Different eyes, different apron, different art style.
Barnaby is gone forever.
Exactly. Because the AI is starting from pure static noise every single time, it's incredibly difficult to get it to generate the exact same subject twice.
So how does Leonardo fix Barnaby?
Leonardo AI tackles this by offering extreme control mechanisms and proprietary preset styles. It allows a beginner to lock in a specific character seed or a specific artistic style.
So the AI knows exactly what Barnaby looks like.
Yes, enabling you to generate highly consistent visual assets across multiple images.
Which is absolutely vital if you are building a brand and you don't want your website to look totally schizophrenic with 6 different art styles on the same page.
It's crucial for professional branding.
But here is the reality check.
Okay.
Generating a stunning, commercially safe, perfectly consistent image of a glowing coffee cup is incredibly cool. But it is usually only half the battle.
Very true.
Often, that raw image isn't the final product. It needs to go onto a printed poster or into a website header.
It needs to be integrated.
Right. It needs to have its messy backgrounds removed, or it needs to be upscaled because it's too small, or it needs to be color matched to a brand.
Yeah, the finishing touches.
How do beginners handle those nitty-gritty, highly tedious editing tasks without inevitably having to surrender and learn complex software anyway?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that perfectly transitions us to the next massive category in the source material.
Okay, what's that?
The specialized problem solvers. If Canva is the buffet and Midjourney is the specialized chef, these tools are the highly tuned, single-purpose kitchen gadgets.
Like an avocado slicer.
Exactly. They are hyper-focused AI applications that democratize highly technical, historically agonizing skills. They only do one thing, but they do it flawlessly.
I love these tools because they feel like magic tricks. Let's really break down what they are replacing, starting with the first one, remove.bg.
Well, as the literal name implies, it removes backgrounds.
It's very aptly named.
You upload an image, and in about 3 seconds, the AI identifies the main subject, cuts away the background entirely, and leaves you with a clean, transparent PNG file.
That you can drop onto any other design.
Exactly.
For you listening who have never tried to manually cut out a background, let me explain the historical trauma of this process.
As you do, it's absorbed in context.
Imagine you have a photo of a model with incredibly frizzy, curly hair standing in front of a busy city street.
The worst case scenario.
The absolute worst. In traditional software, you had to zoom in 400% until you could see the individual square pixels.
Yep.
You'd select a magnetic lasso tool, and you would painstakingly click point by point around every single curl of hair, trying to separate it from the background.
And if you sneezed?
One slip of the mouse, and you accidentally chopped off half the models here, and you had to start over. It would take an hour, your hand would cramp, and the final result still looked like it was cut out with safety scissors.
Oh, it's terrible.
But remove.bg analyzes the depth and contrast of the image using computer vision, understands what is foreground and what is background, and perfectly isolates individual strands of hair in 3 seconds.
It deserves a Nobel Peace Prize.
It really does. It is the ultimate friction remover. Next on the list is ClipDrop, which was developed by the AI company Stability AI.
Yeah.
If remove.bg is the magic scissors, how would you describe ClipDrop?
ClipDrop is the magic utility belt. It is a suite of AI-powered cleanup and enhancement tools.
Okay, what kind of tools?
Well, it features an incredibly powerful cleanup tool where you literally just paint over unwanted objects, a stray power line crossing a beautiful sky, a photo bomber in the background of your shot, and the AI in-paints the missing data, making them vanish flawlessly.
Oh, like the Firefly generative fill.
Very similar,
Yeah.
yes. But its most impressive features are relighting and upscaling.
Oh, let's talk about relighting. This breaks my brain.
It is a marvel of spatial computing.
Yeah.
You upload a flat 2D photograph,
Just a normal photo.
just a normal photo.
Yeah.
The AI analyzes the geometry of the faces or objects in the photo and effectively creates a hidden 3D map of the scene.
Okay.
You are then given a digital light source on your screen that you can literally drag around. You can change where the light is coming from after the photo was taken.
That's insane.
You can add a dramatic red neon glow coming from the left or simulate golden hour sunlight coming from above. It recalculates the shadows and highlights on the fly.
That is something that used to require a Hollywood visual effects studio.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned upscaling.
Yes. AI upscaling solves the classic pixelated problem. You have a tiny, blurry, low-resolution image, maybe an old logo file or a photo saved from the web.
Right. And when you try to print it, it looks like a blurry mosaic.
Exactly. An AI upscaler doesn't just stretch the image. It analyzes the blurry pixels and uses its neural network to literally invent and inject the missing high-definition details.
Turning a blurry mess into a crisp, high-resolution asset.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Okay, now for one of my absolute favorite tools mentioned in the entire article, Chroma, spelled K-H-R-O-M-A.
Oh, Chroma is brilliant.
I am so passionate about this because color theory used to take literal semesters in art school to master.
It's a very complex science.
It is. To pick colors that don't look hideous together, you had to understand the mathematical relationships on a color wheel. You had to learn about complementary colors, analogous palettes, split complementary.
It's a lot of math for art.
Chroma automates all of that complex math based entirely on your personal taste.
It acts as an incredibly personalized AI color palette generator. The onboarding process is brilliant.
How does it work?
When you first launch Chroma, it presents you with a massive grid of hundreds of different colors. And it asks you to simply click on 50 colors that you naturally gravitate towards.
So it's pure gut instinct.
Just clicking what looks pretty to you.
Okay.
But behind the scenes, the AI is analyzing the specific hexadecimal codes of your selections. It plots them in a multidimensional color space, understands the hue, saturation, and luminance you prefer,
And then what?
and then algorithmically generates infinite, mathematically perfect color combinations. It shows you how those colors look as typography, as gradients, or as background-foreground pairings.
Wow.
For a beginner who is completely paralyzed by the fear of picking colors that clash and make their brand look amateurish, Chroma makes professional color selection mathematically foolproof.
It's like having a high-end personal stylist who lives inside your browser, learns your exact taste, and never lets you leave the house in a clashing outfit.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
The article also highlights a tool called Ezard, which completely blew my mind.
Ezard is very cool.
A wizard is specifically built for creating user interfaces, app wireframes, and website mockups. And it has a feature called Screenshot to Design.
This is a perfect example of AI skipping the execution phase entirely.
How does it work?
Traditionally, if you saw a website layout you like and wanted to build something similar for your own brand, you would have to meticulously rebuild it from scratch.
Drawing the boxes, placing the buttons, sizing the text.
Right. With Ezard, you literally take a screenshot of a website you admire, upload the static image file, and the AI's computer vision analyzes the screenshot.
Okay.
It identifies what is text, what is a button, what is an image, and it converts that flat screenshot into a fully editable interactive mockup.
Wait, really? You can just click on it?
Yes, you can instantly click on the text in the image and change it to your own.
It dramatically reduces the time it takes to go from saying, I want my website to look kind of like this, to actually having a functional visual prototype you can hand to a developer.
It's a huge time saver.
And finally, rounding out the specialized problem solvers, there is Luca.
Luca is fascinating.
Luca is essentially an instant brand identity generator. You don't just ask it for a logo.
No, it's much bigger than that.
You give it your business name, the copper bean, you tell it your industry, and you select a few visual styles you like, and it generates an entire cohesive brand kit.
It gives you the logo, yes.
But it also generates matching business cards, email signatures, letterheads, and perfectly sized social media profile pictures.
All utilizing the same integrated color palette and typography.
It effectively replaces an entry-level branding agency for a startup with zero budget.
It really does.
Okay, I need to pause the hype train for a second. I need
Oh,
to play devil's advocate again because we just threw a massive amount of information at the listener.
you definitely did.
Looka is an agency in a box. Chroma is a masterclass in color theory. Remove.bg is magic scissors. Midjourney is a Michelin star artist.
Right.
But if I am a total beginner and my goal is simply to make a flyer for my coffee shop,
Yep.
and I have to use Looka for my logo, Chroma to pick the brown and copper colors, Midjourney to generate the image of the coffee cup, Clip Drop to upscale it because Midjourney exported it too small, and Remove.bg to cut the cup out.
That sounds like a lot.
Aren't we just replacing the complexity of learning Photoshop with the immense chaotic complexity of managing 11 different subscriptions and bouncing between 11 different tabs in our web browser?
It sounds exhausting when you list it out like that.
It sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Well, your frustration is exactly why the source text dedicates its entire final section to the concept of workflows.
Workflows.
Yes, the article is very clear. The goal is absolutely not to open all 11 tabs at once and bounce between them in a panic.
Okay, good, because I was panicking.
The secret to mastering AI design as a beginner in 2026 isn't simply knowing what every single tool on the internet does.
It's not about knowing all of them.
No, it is knowing how to strategically stack the right tools in a logical, chronological sequence to solve a specific problem.
Yes. The masterclass section of the article. Stacking tools and the art of prompting. Let's break this down meticulously because this is where the theoretical magic we've been talking about becomes practical reality for you listening.
This is the actionable part.
What is the very first foundational piece of advice the source gives to a beginner who is feeling overwhelmed and ready to start?
The advice is, start impossibly small.
Impossibly small.
Do not log in on day one and attempt to redesign your entire company's e-commerce website.
Don't do it.
Do not attempt to write and illustrate a 40-page brand manifesto. The article explicitly advises starting with a single, highly contained project.
Like what?
A single social media post announcing your hours of operation, or a simple black and white logo concept.
Just to get your feet wet.
Exactly. By intentionally keeping the stakes low, you give yourself the psychological freedom to experiment. You need to figure out how the AI interprets your instructions without the crushing pressure of a looming business deadline.
And that interpretation piece brings us to the most important new technical skill of 2026, a term we hear everywhere now, prompt engineering.
Yes, the new coding.
Because you are no longer clicking menus and dragging anchor points, your words are literally your tools. You are sculpting with language.
Beautifully put.
The source gives an absolute masterclass on how to actually talk to these machines to get what you want.
And this skill is vital because of how massive these AI models are.
Right.
If you give a vague, lazy prompt, the AI essentially has to guess what you want. And when an AI guesses, it defaults to the mathematical average of its entire training data.
And the average is boring.
The average of billions of images is, by definition, generic, boring, and distinctly AI-like. The AI desperately needs constraints.
It needs guardrails.
Exactly. It needs highly specific vocabulary to act as guardrails, narrowing down its massive data set into a precise, usable, beautiful visual.
The article lists 4 foundational pillars of a good prompt. Let's walk through them slowly so you listening can actually use this today.
Okay, what's pillar 1?
Pillar 1, separate your instructions, don't jumble it up. Describe the subject, the style, the mood, and the composition as distinct elements.
Very important.
Pillar 2, reference specific established art styles, eras, or even types of camera lenses or film stock.
Give it a reference point.
Pillar 3, explicitly specify the format or medium. Is it a 3D render, a vector icon, a watercolor?
Right, tell what it is.
Pillar 4, include highly specific lighting details. Lighting dictates mood.
Always.
Let's put this into practice for the copper bean. Let's say I need a cool image of a coffee cup for my cafe's Instagram feed. If I haven't read this article, my bad prompt is just typing a coffee cup.
Right. If you just type a coffee cup, the AI will give you the most boring, sterile, painfully generic stock photo of a white mug on a white table imaginable.
Just totally lifeless.
It will look like a placeholder image in a PowerPoint presentation. But let's apply the 4 pillars from the text.
Okay, let's build the prompt.
First, the subject. Let's specify a textured ceramic coffee cup resting on a heavily scarred, reclaimed wood table with a wisp of steam rising.
Ooh, I love the details. Okay. Second, the format. Let's say a square close-up portrait.
Perfect. Third, the style. Minimalist, moody food photography.
Okay, and fourth, the lighting and mood. Let's go with illuminated by soft studio lighting, mimicking golden hour sunlight streaming through a window, warm, inviting, high contrast.
So you string that together, your prompt becomes a square close-up portrait of a textured ceramic coffee cup resting on a heavily scarred, reclaimed wood table with a wisp of steam rising. Minimalist, moody food photography style. Illuminated by soft studio lighting mimicking golden hour sunlight, warm, inviting, high contrast.
That is a mouthful.
It is, but that specific detail prompt provides the AI with the exact constraints it needs to bypass the generic averages and produce something truly breathtaking.
Knowing how to construct that paragraph is the singular skill that has replaced watching 40 hours of Photoshop interface tutorials.
Exactly. It literally is like learning the intricate syllables of a magic spell instead of having to spend years forging the magic wand yourself.
It's incredible. So you've written your perfect prompt. You've generated your stunning image of the coffee cup.
Yes.
Now let's look at the actual stacking workflows the article recommends to bring it all together. It outlines what I like to call the ultimate 5-step relay race. Walk us through this specific workflow.
This is the blueprint for how a modern, highly efficient beginner works in 2026.
Let's hear it.
Step 1 is generation. You open Midjourney, or Leonardo AI. You use the highly specific prompt architecture we just discussed to generate a stunning, unique, high-fidelity core visual asset.
In this case, our perfect coffee cup.
Exactly. Step 2 is isolation. The image is great, but maybe the reclaimed wood table doesn't fit your flyer.
Right.
You take that image and drop it into remove.bg. In 3 seconds, it strips away the table in the background, perfectly isolating just the ceramic cup and the steam.
Magic scissors. Got it. What's step 3?
Step 3 is layout. You open your buffet tool, Canva. You find a professionally structured layout template for a cafe grand opening flyer. You drop your perfectly isolated coffee cup into the template.
Okay, so now the cup is in the flyer.
Yes. Step 4 is harmonization. You realize the bright pink colors of the Canva template clash terribly with the warm tones of your coffee cup.
Gross. So we need chroma.
Right. You open Chroma, you input the hex codes of your coffee cup image, and Chroma instantly generates a mathematically perfect, complementary color palette. You apply those new colors to the text and background in Canva.
Making everything look cohesive.
Exactly. And step 5 is distribution. Your design looks perfect. You use Canva's AI auto resize feature to instantly generate a square version for Instagram, a vertical version for stories, and a horizontal banner for your website.
And then you just click export.
You click export.
I hear you lay that out and I think, okay, that sounds incredibly powerful. It sounds like a superpower.
It really is.
But it is also 5 distinct, separate steps across 4 different websites. I am literally passing the baton from Midjourney to remove.bg to Canva to Chroma.
Yes.
Let me push you on this. Is that relay race really faster than just biting the bullet, buying a Photoshop subscription, and learning one single program where I can theoretically do all of that in one unified window?
It is infinitely faster, and it produces a better result for a beginner.
Infinitely faster. How?
Because while it sounds like a lot of steps when spoken aloud, the AI is handling 100% of the friction at every single transition point.
Okay, walk me through the manual alternative.
Think about the alternative you just proposed. Learning to do all of those steps manually in a traditional program requires generating the asset, spending 30 minutes perfectly masking the steam to remove the background, spending another hour reading about color theory to understand the math behind the complementary colors.
And then manually duplicating and rearranging the canvas for 3 different social platforms.
Exactly. That manual process takes months to learn and several hours of active, stressful execution every single time you want to make a post.
And running the AI relay race.
Once you know where the websites are, the entire 5-step process takes 10 minutes total.
10 minutes. That is the absolute mic drop moment of this entire deep dive right there.
It really is.
10 minutes from a blank mind to a multi-platform, color-perfect marketing campaign.
The source also gives a second workflow, specifically for photo enhancement.
Oh, which I think is brilliant for small business owners.
Right. Say you don't want to generate an image. You want to use a real photo you took on your mediocre cell phone of your actual barista, but the lighting is terrible and the background is messy.
A very common scenario.
Here is the workflow. You start with the mediocre photo. You use remove.bg to isolate the barista.
Just getting rid of the messy cafe background.
Yes, you drop that isolated image into ClipDrop to upscale it, inventing the missing pixels to make it high definition.
Making it crisp.
Then you pull it into Adobe Firefly and use generative fill to swap out the blank background for a clean, professional studio backdrop.
Or like a nice exposed brick wall.
Exactly. Finally, you pull it into Canva to quickly sharpen the image and balance the overall contrast. Boom.
You just created a professional, corporate-level headshot from a terrible cell phone picture in under 10 minutes.
It is the ultimate democratization of visual polish. It allows anyone, regardless of their budget for equipment or agencies, to punch massively above their weight class visually.
So let's zoom out. What does this all mean for you, the listener? We've gone from the walled garden of incredibly expensive hostile software to a landscape where you can literally speak a professional design into existence.
It's an incredible leap.
We've walked through the massive buffet of Canva, we've visited the Michelin star kitchen of Midjourney, and we've played with the magic trick gadgets of tools like Chroma and ClipDrop.
The overarching theme of the 2026 landscape is that the technical barrier to entry has officially hit absolute zero.
The AI completely absorbs the complexity of execution.
And the action plan for you listening is remarkably straightforward. Match the tool to your immediate specific need. Do not try to learn everything at once.
Right. If you need a logo today, use Looka.
If you need to clean up a messy photo, use remove.bg.
If you need a quick social media post, open Canva. You no longer need a master's degree in visual communication. You just need the courage to start experimenting.
As the article profoundly states, you will learn more about how AI design works from executing your first 10 quick projects than you will from watching any number of theoretical tutorials.
It really is a brave, wildly exciting new world. So what does this all mean? I want to leave you, the listener, with one final, slightly provocative thought to chew on after this is over.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And I'm going to throw this over to our expert to bring us home. If these tools can do all of this,
Yeah.
if they can perfectly execute the layout, mathematically calculate the color palettes, perfectly balance the lighting, and flawlessly handle the kerning, what happens to the human in the loop? What is our actual job now?
This raises the most crucial existential question for anyone stepping into the creative space today.
It really does.
If the AI can flawlessly execute all the technical details, if absolute pixel-perfect execution is entirely automated and accessible to literally anyone on Earth with an internet connection and $20,
What's left for us?
then technical skill is no longer your competitive advantage. In a world where anyone, anywhere, can create a masterpiece in 10 minutes simply by typing a well-crafted prompt, your most valuable asset isn't your encyclopedic knowledge of software menus anymore.
So what is it?
It is your unique taste. It's your specific perspective, your lived experience, your cultural background, and the raw originality of your ideas.
Wow.
The digital tools are cheap. Human vision is incredibly rare. So the question you have to ask yourself as you leave this deep dive isn't just, which of these 11 AI tools should I subscribe to?
Right.
The real question is, are you cultivating your taste, experiencing the world, and refining your unique perspective as aggressively as you are learning these new tools?
Wow. Are you cultivating your taste? I love that so much. It takes us right back to the beginning analogy.
The design studio.
Exactly. We have all been handed the keys to the most advanced, fully staffed design studio in human history.
And the AI artists are standing there, ready to mix the paint, stretch the canvas, and hold the brushes perfectly still.
The only thing left to do is for you to step up and tell them what to paint. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools, trust your taste, and go create something amazing.
Thank you for listening to AI Creator World Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube, and share this episode with another creator who is building their future online. For deeper guides, AI tools, and step-by-step growth strategies, visit our website at aicreatorworld.net. And remember, in the age of artificial intelligence, creators who learn faster will lead the future. See you in the next episode. Bye!